This isn't a conversion story. It isn't the one where a guy in flannel tells you the God saved his life and now he sells supplements. This is a story about a kid who lost his sister over 30 years ago and the path that opened up underneath him when she went. I didn't come up here to find myself and go home with a beard and a podcast. I'm a man who built this 30-year practice during lunch hours and long night thoughts to myself. And these days, I don't walk it alone. Every once in a while, a man needs to put his hands on something older than his grief. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to tell you how I got here. The whole thing, the loss, the door, the gods, and the 30 years. Pour yourself something. This one's going to take a minute. Before I tell you how it started, I feel like I need to tell you who I was when it did. I was a kid, not a child. That part was over already. I was at the age where you think you understand everything and you don't understand anything. And the world is waiting on you to find out which is which. My sister, she didn't like green beans, and she would find every excuse in the book not to eat them, up until saying, it made her ears hurt. She loved the theme song to the TV show Cops. Don't know why, but she did. And the very last time I spoke to her, I was going to an amusement park. And when you're 12, 13 years old, that's exciting, and I wasn't thinking anything about it. But then, throughout the day, it kept hitting me, and I was like, man, she's sick, should be at home. But I promised her that I would buy her, I think it was like a Smurf brush or something that the place had. Yeah, and that's what I ended up putting in her casket. And that's the version I carry. Not the photographs, not the funeral, that. We weren't anti-anything either. Just kind of those people that would show up at weddings and funerals and didn't think about it the rest of the time. Whatever was waiting on the other side, we all figured we'd just figure it out when we got there. And then she got there first. And I had to figure out what to do with that. I'm not going to walk you through the loss itself. That belongs to me and her. What I will tell you is what happened after. The first month, I was numb. Second month was filled with anger. And by the third month, I was looking for something to hold on to. Christianity was all around me. That's what the people offered. She's in a better place. God has a plan. You'll see her again one day. And I tried. I really did. It didn't take. Every promise felt like a hand on my shoulder from someone who actually hadn't even been where I'm at. And then one night, I don't remember what triggered it. I remembered my grandmother. She used to tell me stories while we sat on her front porch. Stories about the gods I had never heard about in school. Stories about the old country. the old names, the old ways, before anybody decided we weren't supposed to do them. I didn't know what they were when I was a boy. They were just Grandma's stories. Things she told me that nobody else seemed to know. She would tell me about the birds, 2 specific birds, and how they carried information from place to place. She would speak of certain gods' names and just customs that she kept. When my sister died, those stories came back. Not as memories, as recognition. Like they'd been sitting in me this whole time, waiting for the day that I would need them. That's when I started to understand what she was doing. She wasn't just telling me bedtime stories. She was passing something down. She was making sure whatever the world had decided to forget, I would remember. I didn't find the old ways. I remember them. They were already in me through her and through whoever told her. And then whoever told them, all the way back. That's what weird means. Old English, Old Norse, older than both. The modern world translated as fate. That's not quite right. It's a web. Weird isn't just a script. It's a web that you're weaved into. Every person who has ever loved you, every story they ever told, every thread they pulled, all of it still pulling, whether you know it or not. My grandmother pulled a thread. My sister dying made me feel it. The old ways were what I found on the other end. I started honoring them, quietly at first. Just naming the gods that she'd named. Just saying the words that she said. Just doing small things she'd done that nobody at school had ever explained. That was a threshold. Nobody walked me through it. There was no priest, no temple, no community. Just a kid in a room remembering his grandmother's voice and feeling for the first time since his sister died like the floor under him was real. What I didn't know yet was how much it was going to cost me to keep walking. And how much it was going to give back. And here's what nobody tells you about walking this path, especially in the city and especially today. It's lonely. Not at first. At first you're just remembering, and remembering is private anyway. But the day comes when you want to do something. You want to mark a season. You want to say the name out loud and have someone else say it back. You want a kindred. And in most American cities, 30 years ago, there wasn't one. Not for the old ways. I made offerings in parks because, well, it was the only outdoor space I had. And I said the names of the gods on lunch, walking around the city, quiet enough that the guy next to me in the crosswalk never knew. I lit candles in the apartment, and those are some of the ones that I was just about ready to get kicked out of. I poured meat in the kitchen sinks because I didn't have a hoard, and I didn't have a hof, and I didn't have anybody to tell me it was okay. Turns out it was okay. Turns out that gods don't care about your zip code. 30 years splits roughly into 3 parts. The first 10, I was fumbling, trusting the wrong voices, mistaking aesthetics for practice. It took me a while to learn what my grandma had already given me was worth more than most of what I was reading. The next 10 years is stripping it all back, learning what sources held up, learning which didn't, learning that most of what calls itself heathenry on the internet is cosplay, and most of what is heathenry don't post about it. The last 10 have been the quiet part, the part where it is what I do. Where the candle gets lit, that's where the mornings are. Where the gods get named because that's how I greet the day. Where my sister gets remembered because she was woven into me, and that weave doesn't just stop because the loom moved on. My wife and Whiskey and the other dogs come along. Whiskey being a working dog, the kind of animal that makes you a better man, whether you signed up for it or not. Most of the time, anytime I'm around an altar or taking that morning quiet walk, he's there. After 30 years of getting it wrong and getting it right and burying my sister and carrying her with me anyway, what do I actually do? What does the morning look like? And why I think that both of them, my sister and my grandmother, led me here on purpose. Here's what I've learned in 30 years. My sister and grandmother will always be a part of me. She's in the weave. Every time I light a candle, every time I say their name, every time I show up at an altar, she's there. Not as a ghost, not as a memory, as an ancestor. That word means something in this path. Ancestor isn't a person you've lost. It's a person you carry. Someone who walked the threads before you and whose threads are still pulling. She walks with me. My grandmother walks with me. The gods walk with me. My wife and Whiskey and the other dogs walk with me. The land walks with me. That's the practice. That's what 30 years got me. Not certainty, not salvation, not a cabin in the woods, or a beard, or a podcast. A candle, a wife, pendant, working dogs, and 2 women's name said out loud almost every morning. And the steady, daily, unglamorous knowing that I'm woven into something older than my grief and something bigger than my life. I think that led me here. I think they led me here. Both of them. I can't prove it. I don't need to. 30 years ago, I lost my sister. My grandmother had already given me the path. I just hadn't walked it yet. Now I light candles every morning for her, for my sister, for the gods, for the ancestors who pulled the thread before any of us were thought about being born. If this resonated, the kindred is down in the comments. Tell me who you light candles for. Hail to the gods. Hail to the ancestors, and hail to the ones who still walk with us.